In part 2 of section 2.4, we're going to work example 2. Part A, they give us an equation, but it's in general form. In other words, everything is on one side. We don't see that set of parentheses squared. We can't pick the center off of this very easily. So what we're going to have to do is rearrange from general form into standard form. And to do that, we're going to do something called completing the square. So we're going to complete the square, and that's the process we're going to use. So let's write some steps out as we do this. So the very first step we're going to do is move the constant to the right side. And we're going to group our variables. That means put the x terms together, put the y terms together. We can't add them, but we can write them next to each other, which is what we're after here. So I'm going to keep the x squared as my first term. I'm going to put the 2x next. Then I have the y squared minus 4y. So that put the x terms together, the y terms together. This extra 4, we're going to move to the right side. Now we're going to come in and actually do the completing of the square. What does that mean? Step 2. The square. We're going to do it for both x and y. Both x and y. So to complete the square, the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to take half of the coefficient on x, not x squared, on x. And we're pretty specific about the ones that we've given you as homework problems. You won't have a coefficient on the x squared or the y squared. If there were, I would have to divide that out of there, but we didn't assign those problems. So what we're asking you to do is take half of the coefficient on x. So this is just scratch work sitting right here just because I need it somewhere on the board. So this is just my thought process over here. So I'm going to take that 2, it's sitting on the x, I'm going to divide it by 2, and I get a 1. So I'm taking half of 2. I'm going to square this number. Square this result. This is why it's called completing the square. Square this result. So we're going to come in and take that 1. We're going to square it. 1 squared is 1, not very exciting. And they need to add it to both sides. And what you're going to notice is what we're trying to do is going to create that set of parentheses with the square on it. And this is the process that's going to let us create that. So what we're saying is we're going to come in and take the x squared plus 2x plus 1. So that's the one that we just came up with. Now we're going to come in and do the same thing in terms of the y. So I'm going to take half of -4. So -4 divided by 2 is a -2. I'm going to square that number, and a -2 squared is a +4. And I'm going to add that to both sides too. So originally I had a 4. I've added a 1. That's this guy. And I added this 4 here. Running in different directions. What we're doing is maintaining the equality. So whatever I added to the left side, I also have to add to the right side. Okay, now we're going to come in and factor the x's and factor the y. So we'll factor the first 3 terms, and then we'll factor the next 3 terms. So factor. So over here, we're looking for factors of 1 that add to 2. Well, that's x plus 1 and x plus 1. Over here, we're looking for factors of 4 that are going to add to a -4. So that would be y minus 2 times y minus 2. On the right side, we're just going to combine like terms. So 4 plus 1 plus 4, we'll add them all together. And we're almost there. So factor, and we'll say combine right. Combine right side. So let's rewrite this. This is really x plus 1 quantity squared. This would be y minus 2 quantity squared is equal to 9. And there we have it. There's our equation now in standard form versus general form. So where's our center? So our center as at -1, 2. And again, notice it as I pull it out of parentheses, I've switched its sign. All right, this was a +1, I write it down. Here's a -1. This was a -2, I write it down. Here's a +2. The radius is the square root of the constant, which in this case is 0. So I found all the information. Now I just need to graph it. So I'm going to erase my directions over here and put the graph over here. We're going to do another example. So we'll go through those steps one more time. So our center is at -1. positive 2, negative 1, positive 2. We're going to go out 3 units in all directions. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, and then our circle. There it is. And there's your first graph of a circle from this general form versus standard form. Let's try another one. Make sure that completing the square makes some sense. So this is example 2, part B. Here it says x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 4y minus 3 is equal to 0. So we're going to go through those exact same steps again. This is in general form. We need it in standard form to pick off that center and the radius. So the first thing we'll do is kind of regroup things, keeping the x terms together. Then we're going to keep the y terms together. I'll remove that 3 to the other side. Now we'll come in and complete the square in terms of x and y. So half of 6 is 3. So again, I'm taking 6 and dividing it by 2. You can use the negative. It's up to you because the minute you square it, it's going to disappear anyway. So negative 3. And then we're taking negative 3 and square it. That tells me to add 9. So I'm going to add 9. That means over on the other side with that 3, I'm also going to add 9. Now we'll come in and do the y. So y squared minus 4y. So I'm taking that negative 4, I'm dividing it by 2. And then I'm going to take that negative 2 and square it. Give me a positive 4. And I'll add 4 to both sides. So again, half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9, half of 4 is 2, 2 squared is 4, adding the 9 and the 4 to both sides. Now we can factor. When we factor, this factors into x minus 3 and x minus 3. Again, they are perfect squares because you completed the square to ensure the perfect square. Kind of nice. Y minus 2, y minus 2. Over on the other side, 3 plus 9 plus 4 is 16. We're almost there. We have x minus 3 quantity squared plus y minus 2 quantity squared is equal to 16. So now we can pull off the center. The center is going to be at 3, 2. And our radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. Then we can graph it. So, 1, 2, 3, 2. And we're out 4 in all directions. 4, 3, 4. And there it is. There's your second circle. Okay, now that we've graphed the circles, we've done 4 graphs. So we're going to go ahead and do the go backwards problems. So they're going to give me the information about the graph of the circle and ask for the equation of the circle.